That was a mind bender. Backrooms is about furniture store owner Clark, who discovers that in the back of his store there are a maze of offices that seemingly go on for miles upon miles, and Clark decides to explore these offices. It's a great concept for a film directed by Parsons, a YouTuber who made a YouTube short based on a similar concept of the liminal space on his channel to great success. It's great performance from Chiwetel Ejiofor, and there is a great sound design that is very subtle and eerie that will leave you with goosebumps. The problem with the film, however, is the last 20 minutes where it loses its mystery. But let me ask you this: is Hollywood being saved by YouTubers, or are YouTubers owning Hollywood? We first are introduced to this world through found footage from a science team that have been exploring these mazes of offices that seemingly go on for miles upon miles, and handheld footage from a camera found early 90s, and this guy is just walking around endlessly in this maze. Then the camera cuts out, and then we are in the present with Chiwetel Ejiofor's character Clark, who runs a furniture store in America and is going through some marital issues and has been dealing with some mental health stuff, and seeks the help of a psychologist called Mary, and that is Renate, Reinsve, and she tries to help Clark try and figure out who he is and why all this stuff is happening to him. And right when he is at his weakest point, this is where the maze appears to him. This is where he discovers the liminal space hiding behind his store, and he goes and explores. The first 45 minutes of this film is very compelling as we follow the story of Clark as he tries to figure out his life and figure out what the liminal space is all about, and his exploration of these random mazes that have appeared behind his store. And it's really compelling because it's literally the camera is just on him, and you see him trying to work his way through this maze. And in my opinion, I feel like the maze is a metaphor for how easily we can get lost in the neural pathways of our own mind. And I think that's what's happening with Clark. And he's walking through it, like discovering these new different places that seem random, but actually look staged. There's full of contrasts like this in the film. For example, the corridors feel quite big and spacious, but actually has a sense of claustrophobia around it, as the more lost he gets, the closer the walls are drawn into him. And also the lighting and the color scheme of the whole office complex is all the same, but again it feels dark and eerie and really unsettling when you're watching it. It is unfortunately the last 25 minutes where Mary the psychologist goes after Clark and tries to find him and tries to help him, and it sort of goes a little bit off the rails for a little bit there. And when the people that are actually investigating this explain or try to explain what this world is, it kind of sort of loses its mystery a little bit. And they could have just simplified it by just having it as like, well, this would be my pitch, I'd make it more of like a psychological experiment that these scientists are doing just to see how human beings react in a space like this. But they had to really sort of go and swing the fences with like this weird tall giant thing that is chasing after Mary, and these sort of weird memory foam people, and it just had like a really bizarre twist. But having said that, though, with a small budget and with great creative people that want to make this film work, is doing really well at the box office. If you think back earlier in the year, it seems like YouTube is taking the Hollywood world by storm with the success of Iron Lung and Markiplier. It's now been elevated, and more of these types of movies are coming in. So with Iron Lung earlier this year making a ridiculous amount of money, which I think is now about 50 plus million at the box office, we've seen now Obsession and now Backrooms. So let's have a look at the current box office results. As you can see on the graph from Sunday, May the 31st, according to Box Office Mojo, Backrooms is currently on $18.2 million. Obsession is currently at 9. And if you look at in third position, Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu is at 7.6 million. Now that's a little bit embarrassing for Star Wars considering they've got infinite money behind them. And these two films, Backroom and Obsession, have had pretty low budgets. So yeah, and if you look at last weekend from May 29th to May 30th, May 31st, Backrooms is grossing at 81 million at the minute, with Obsession hitting 27.4 million, and then again Star Wars, Mandalorian and Grogu at 24.5 million. So yeah, it's not looking good for Star Wars. You see, when YouTubers are making films like this and doing really well, it just goes to show how different the landscape has changed now. The thing is, YouTubers constantly create. They're working every day, making videos, looking at the analytics and looking at all the numbers and seeing what their fans enjoy and like or don't like. And they see it every single day. Like I mentioned in my Iron Lung video, they're doing it all day, every day. And so they know what works, they know what doesn't work. The problem with the Mandalorian film is that, yes, it might have worked on streaming and they have built an audience over time, but that's no means a guarantee when it comes to theatrical release. You don't know that the people that watch the series in their homes want to necessarily go out and watch a film out in the cinema because they can get the same thing at home. And so that's the thing that they've got to think about. It's a changing landscape, and YouTubers are ruling the box office right now. I mean, those numbers don't lie, and they really, have a passion for this. They work on it and build, and they have already a built-in audience that will come and see their films in droves because they're real fans. And so that's what's happening right now, and it's good because it's bringing fresh new light, new voices into the old way of making films, which currently isn't really working that well. This is what Hollywood needs: fresh new life. So yeah, let me know what you think of the current crop of YouTube films such as Obsession and Backrooms and Iron Lung, and let me know what your thoughts are on the current state of Hollywood. So it's not looking good at the minute for Hollywood, but for YouTube, thumbs up. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I shall see you in the next video.